During Trump's rally in Erie, Pennsylvania, he shared some of his commentary on the Me Too movement. As you can imagine, he wasn't too kind toward the movement, especially given what happened with Brett Kavanaugh's hearing. Now, with that said, let's take a look at what he thinks about the Me Too movement.
Pennsylvania hasn't been won for many years by Republicans, but every Republican thinks they're going to win Pennsylvania. They didn't quite get it, but I got it. It's called the workers. I got it. Every Republican, I'd use an expression, there's an expression, but under the rules of Me Too, I'm not allowed to use that expression anymore. I can't do it. It's the person that got away. See, in the old days, it was a little different. Pennsylvania, just do it anyway. I would do it, except for these people up there. They would say, did you hear what President Trump said?
So he's arguing that because of the Me Too movement, he can't use the phrase, the one that got away.
The girl that got away.
But sure, I mean, the phrase is the one that got away, the one who got away, right? And I don't know, anyway, so he thinks the Me Too movement is stopping him from saying it. It's the same politically correct argument that he's been making since he was campaigning for president. And the audience loved it, as you can see. And so he's been going on this anti-Me Too tear. The right wing has been going on this anti-Me Too tear. Another example would be Melania Trump, who recently spoke to ABC about all of this. And here's what she has to say about the Me Too movement.
I support the women and they need to be heard. We need to support them. And also men, not just women.
Do you think men in the news that have been accused of sexual assault and sexual harassment have been treated unfairly?
You need to have a really hard evidence that, that if you're accused of something, show the evidence.
Okay, so look, I mean, we're gonna have to say obvious things. If you're going to court, you obviously have to show evidence and be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Kavanaugh was applying for one of the highest jobs in the country, and in
our justice system.
And she did have proof. She first of all had her eyewitness testimony, and it's withstood challenge. Everyone found it credible. There were other people that she asked the FBI to talk to. The FBI would not talk to them. I mean, we can go on and on and on, but don't. So, but it's the constant, and you'll see it in the Trump supporters. It's the constant thing of like, well, if you can't prove your sexual assault, years later, well, then I guess it was your fault.
So I think it's important to hear from Trump's base on this, because we heard a little bit of the laughter and the applause when Trump made his statements about the Me Too movement, but Emma Vigeland went to the Trump rally in Erie, Pennsylvania to ask specific people, like, what do you think about this? What are your thoughts on this movement? And so we have a number of examples. Let's go to the first one.
My opinion, if I went to a party and was raped, I wouldn't go back 10 more times. If you think about it.
What do you mean by that?
The girl Ford went back to parties after what happened. I don't think it happened. Too many men are in jail for false accusations. It should be Me Too for the man, Me Too for the woman.
Okay, she's of course not remotely right about the statistics. The overwhelming percentage of people who come forward are telling the truth. Well over 90%. They're not a significant number of men who are rotting in prison because of false accusations of rape. It's not that that never happens, of course not. That's why we have trials and we have due process in this country, which we all believe in, especially as progressives. But she has the facts completely wrong on how prevalent it is. And
I also don't know what she's talking about when she says that she went back to the party 10 times.
So she's referring to Swetnick there? No, and of course, as usual, she has the facts wrong on that too. Swetnick said, I went to parties where it looked like people were standing around the punch bowl. I didn't know what they were doing. Then there were lines in front of rooms, but just like a bunch of guys lined up. I didn't know what they were doing. And then later, I realized what they were doing when I was raped. She didn't go to the parties afterwards, okay?
Right. And
so the facts are totally wrong on that. And look, we've said it a million times. If there was a real investigation, I don't know what they would have found out about Swetnick. Ford was incredibly believable, and everything she said stood up, and it seems like Ramirez was the same. I'm curious what they would have found out about Swetnick, but that fact pattern is not remotely true. She didn't get gang raped, as Swetnick alleges, and then returned to those same parties. Not at all. She never said that.
Let's hear from another Trump supporter.
It's just a total leftist thing. A total left. I mean, the women, half of them, I'm not saying all of them, but there's some of them that are paid. Other ones, I'm sure they've been abused. Really, you can't say no on that. But still, most generally, it's just a thing that Democrats want to do and say. That's all about it. That's all it about amounts to.
Okay, so that's a new conspiracy theory. Even Trump didn't say that one, that the Democrats paid the women to come forward against Kavanaugh.
This next one is probably the hardest one to watch, so just fair warning, but here is another Trump supporter, a female.
I've said it for a long time, women should button their blouse, cross their legs, and quit acting like they want something, and then they won't get it.
Oh wow, so you're saying it's more on the women?
I think it's ridiculous.
In what specific examples are you thinking of when you make that statement?
Everybody's great, happy when they get the Oscar, and then whenever, I mean, I'm not saying he's not a scumbucket.
Harvey Weinstein?
Yeah, but they knew what they were doing. And now they're ruining everybody's life over it.
Well, that's the first Harvey Weinstein defense I've seen. So that's new. But look, that's why I love it when Emma goes to the rallies, because these are real Americans. They're real Americans that are wonderful people, real Americans that think these things. And they're not, people on TV are a little bit more polished. You go on, talk to real folks, and yeah, that idea is prevalent. And if somebody says it on TV, there's outrage, etc. But a lot of people sitting around the kitchen table going, the women, it's their fault. They should have buttoned their blouse and etc. And that's why the Fox News of the world fight the culture wars, because the Me Too movement is changing the culture and getting people to realize, no, abusive women have been going on for a long, long time, and we're not going to let you get away with it anymore. And they don't like that. They're in the camp of, let's keep that kind of idea going, that it's their fault and they had it coming. And so Harvey Weinstein even, and Donald Trump and Kavanaugh, they're all right because it's the woman's fault. And they get women to believe that. On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.